You're listening to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast, where we teach you everything you need to know about adopting a plant-based diet full or part-time. Our goal is to empower you to live a long and healthy life. You can find today's show at ordinaryvegan.net or on iTunes. If you have any questions, please send an email to questions@ordinaryvegan.net.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast. My name is Nancy Montori, and this is my new labor of love and fourth podcast episode. If you're tuning in for the first time, I advocate a whole food, plant-based diet for health and wellness, for the environment, and for animal welfare. A plant-based diet consists of whole foods, as in fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes like lentils and beans, and healthy fats like nuts, seeds, and avocado. A plant-based diet does not include meat, eggs, or dairy. I'm here today to serve you and make your journey to a plant-based diet as simple as possible. If you're listening to Ordinary Vegan's podcast for the first time, I highly recommend listening to my first podcast called Getting Started on a Plant-Based Diet Full or Part-Time. Before we discuss this week's main topic, I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects and something I touched on in my first podcast. It's called serendipity. When I was 12 years old, I decided I was going to be a songwriter. The first song I wrote was called Boys, 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 I Love Them All, and I did. The second song I wrote was called Looking at the Boys. So as you can see, I was a little bit boy crazy. At any rate, there was this one boy named Paul who I was totally infatuated with. One day, he was standing in front of our school, messing around with his friends, and I decided, just like that, to go up to Paul and tell him I loved him. I said nothing else, no hello or anything. I just yelled, I love you. It was as if time stood still. He looked at me in disbelief, and his friends were hunched over, laughing. I just stood there and waited for him to declare his love for me. Suddenly, he reached into his pocket and pulled something out. My first thought was, wow, did he get me something? Then I realized he was holding a firecracker and matches in his hand. He lit it and threw it at me. I screamed and ran away, unhurt, but my heart was broken. There is nothing worse than declaring your love for someone and having them throw a firecracker in your face. I bring that story up because that's exactly the way I felt the day I went to see the documentary film Forks Over Knives. I felt like someone threw a firecracker in my face. My heart was broken. But that's when serendipity stepped in. If I wasn't at my lowest point that day, I would never have gone to see Forks Over Knives. I had never heard of the movie and had no idea what it was about. I just had to escape my pain, so I went to the movies. What I'm trying to say is you never know what's waiting for you in life. If I hadn't gone to the movies that day, I would never have become vegan, and I wouldn't be here today trying to change the world with a plant-based diet. I call that movie experience serendipity, the act of finding something valuable when you're not looking for it, or when things seem to be at their worst. You might be saying it's just a movie, but somehow I seized that moment to make radical changes in my life. It's not always easy to recognize serendipity when it steps into your path, but you never know what's going to change your life. Maybe this is your serendipitous moment. Perhaps you accidentally stumbled upon this podcast and had no intention to change your diet or to see the world from another perspective. But When you do something that has such a powerful impact on your health and your body and in the world, a substantial change will occur in your life. I'm certain of that. Now, let's discuss this week's podcast subject and that dreadful word that we all hate so much, cancer. Like many of you, I am so done with people I love suffering from cancer. Cancer is now the second leading cause of death in the United States. All told, there are expected to be 1.7 million new cancer cases in the United States in 2016 and 600,000 cancer deaths this year. And according to the World Health Organization, cancer rates are expected to surge 57% in the next 20 years all over the world. Curing cancer is complicated. There are many types of cancer and many ways to be exposed to it. Some carcinogens are man-made chemicals that pollute our environment. Others have been present since our birth as part of our genetics. But many cancers are preventable and can be tackled by addressing lifestyle factors such as smoking, alcohol consumption, and what we're going to discuss today, nutrition. So how does nutrition fit in? Nutrition has an impact on all stages of cancer, including initiation and promotion stages. Here is some of the research. Dr. T. Colin Campbell, scientist and author of the China Study, has been doing scientific studies on cancer causation for over 50 years. If you're not familiar with the China Study, it was the most comprehensive study of nutrition ever conducted, and the catalyst for the movie Forks Over Knives. Dr. Campbell has dedicated his life to cancer research and the connection to nutrition. All the way back to 1968, Dr. Campbell saw the link to animal protein in cancer. It began when part of his studies involved the investigation of the unusually high prevalence of liver cancer in children from the Philippines. Dr. Campbell was called in to investigate the role of a mold called aflatoxin found in peanuts and corn. That's when he discovered something else. He discovered that children who ate the highest protein diets were the ones most likely to get liver cancer. And they were the children of the wealthiest families, a disease of affluence. A disease of affluence is when certain disease conditions are literally only found in rich countries or countries that have been westernized. Shortly after the children's liver cancer revelation, Dr. Campbell reviewed an extensive study by Indian researchers. That study was composed of two groups of rats. The first group was fed 20% of their diet with animal protein, very similar to the American diet. The second group was fed a diet of 5% animal protein. Both groups were also fed an equal amount of aflatoxin, a known cancer-causing toxin. Every animal in the group that ate 20% protein had evidence of liver cancer. And every single animal in the 5% animal protein diet avoided liver cancer. Dr. Campbell described it as a defining moment in his career. Questioning protein and animal-based foods in general was not on anybody's wavelength. Yet, over the next few years, Dr. Campbell continued to pursue the true connection between protein and cancer. Dr. Campbell explains the 3 stages of cancer in his book. To use a rough analogy, he says in the book, the cancer process is similar to planting a lawn. Initiation is when you put the seed in the soil. Promotion is when the grass starts to grow. And progression is when the grass gets completely out of control, invading the sidewalk, the shrubbery, and the driveway. He says it's the promotion process that decides how many cancerous cells cluster and form detectable tumors. Like the lawn in the analogy, for grass to grow, it needs water, sunlight, and nutrients to promote growing success. Cancer cells have needs too. Things that help cancer grow are called promoters. Things that hinder the growth of cancer cells are called anti-promoters. Taking all the stages into consideration, Dr. Campbell focused his attention on the second stage, promotion. Because this stage was the slowest and held the most opportunity for reversal. His highly regarded study found that animals who ate a diet of animal protein and fat had the strongest tumor development and growth in promotion. And in the final stages of the study, he removed the protein from the animals who were eating the 20% animal protein. And guess what? The tumor growth completely stopped. So what Dr. Campbell found out is that cancer growth could be turned on, then off, then on, then off again by increasing and decreasing animal protein. Furthermore, promotion of cancer growth only occurred with animal-based protein and not with plant-based protein. There was also another discovery that was very provocative. They were amazed to discover that a commonly consumed and highly regarded food had a remarkable effect on tumor development. That food was cow's milk, specifically the one protein in cow's milk called casein. Casein represents 80% of the protein in cow's milk. The study concluded that one of the most powerful carcinogens ever discovered is casein, the main protein in cow's milk. Dr. Campbell wasn't the only scientist to find a connection between animal protein and cancer. In 2014, the Longevity Institute of Southern California conducted a new study about the connection of animal protein and cancer. They found that people from the ages of 50 to 65 who ate high-protein diets were 75% most likely to die of cancer. Even those who ate moderate protein diets were 3 times as likely to die from cancer. In that study, they concluded that plant-based protein did not present the same kind of problem as protein from animal sources. In October 2015, the World Health Organization announced that processed meat and red meat can increase your risk of cancer. Not only that, they said as little as 8 ounces of processed meat a day, which is less than 2 pieces of bacon or 2 slices of processed ham or a hot dog, could raise the risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. Other studies have linked dairy consumption to a high incidence of breast and other cancers because dairy products are high in fat, animal protein, hormones, and possible pesticides, each of which increases cancer risk. And there are even more reasons to eat your fruits and vegetables. According to Cancer Research UK, people who eat the most fruit and vegetables can lower their risk of cancer. And almost half of all mouth and throat cancers are linked to diets low in fruits and vegetables. And if you're worried about your cancer genetics, like Dr. Campbell said, think of your body like a ground covered in seeds. Seeds need sunlight, water to turn into grass. If you don't feed the seeds, you won't have the grass. Good nutrition can prevent genes from expressing negative genetic tendencies. And it's not just cancer that a plant-based diet can help prevent or reverse. A plant-based diet can help prevent, treat, and reverse type 2 diabetes, asthma, eczema, high cholesterol, obesity, autoimmune disease, bowel disease, dementia, depression, anxiety disorders, and the number one killer in the United States, heart disease. So, if there is a glimmer of hope that you could avoid a life-threatening chronic disease in your lifetime by eating more fruits and vegetables or cutting way back on animal protein, why wouldn't you do it? There is no downside. You will feel great, you will look great, you will have lots of energy, and you'll have a new outlook on life. It doesn't happen overnight, and embracing a plant-based diet is a learning process. But I'm here to help, and there are lots of resources out there to help you. I had my struggles at the beginning, wondering what I would eat, what do I order at restaurants, how do I fit a plant-based diet into the margins of my life? But it was also exciting to make that transformation, and it bled into all areas of my existence. I am healthier than I ever thought I could be. My energy is sky high. I never have to diet again. I feel a joyfulness knowing that my food choices extend beyond me. Everything is brighter. I feel more in touch with everything that is going on around me, leading to better choices and more creativity. Last but not least, I am no longer stressed out and confused about nutrition. After a few months, eating a plant-based diet becomes easier and more intuitive. I really hope you join me on this journey and get to experience all the benefits that come from a plant-based diet, and also to protect your health from so many diseases, and especially cancer. Now, let's see what's cooking in Ordinary Vegan's plant-based kitchen today. Today's main ingredient is broccoli. Broccoli is called a cruciferous vegetable. There are many types of cruciferous vegetables, but the most common varieties are broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, and collard greens. Cruciferous vegetables contain sulfur compounds called glucosinolates. Your body uses glucosinolates to activate cancer-fighting enzyme systems in your body. When you chew glucosinolates in cruciferous vegetables, they break down to form compounds. These compounds have been found to inhibit the development of cancer in the bladder, breast, colon, liver, and stomach. They also protect cells from DNA damage and help inactivate carcinogens. A study published in the Journal of Cancer Prevention Research said that broccoli sprouts can help accelerate the body's ability to detoxify from multiple pollutants, including air pollution in China. Wow. Most adults should aim for at least 5 servings of cruciferous vegetables per week, which equals about 3 cups. I eat more than that, and I recommend eating as many cruciferous vegetables as you can. One effortless way to add lots of cruciferous vegetables to your diet is with soups. Soups are easy to make, and they are comfort without the calories. This soup took about 10 minutes of my time to assemble and another 10 to 15 minutes to cook. It really can't get any easier than that. I like to garnish the soup with homemade croutons because I always want something crunchy with my meals. But you could also add some seeds or nuts on top to amp up the protein. Even if you don't cook, this is so easy to prepare, and you can replace the broccoli with another cruciferous vegetable like cauliflower if you like. Here's the recipe. It serves 4. 1 pound of broccoli separated into florets, a 1/2 cup of chopped onions, 2 garlic cloves chopped, a 1/3 cup of vegetable broth for sautéing, plus 4 cups, 1 tablespoon of dried basil, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of fresh ground pepper, 3 tablespoons of chopped fresh parsley. To prepare, coarsely chop the broccoli. In a large soup pot, heat a 1/3 cup of the vegetable broth. Add the onion, dried basil, salt, and pepper, and cook until soft and translucent. That takes about 5 minutes. Add the garlic cloves and cook for another minute. Add the broccoli and vegetable broth and bring to a boil. Reduce the heat to low and simmer uncovered for about 10 minutes or until the broccoli is fork tender. Pour it into a blender or food processor and process the soup until smooth. Add the parsley. If you need to, return the soup to the soup pot and gently reheat. Taste and adjust seasonings. And serve. Each cup contains only 50 calories and 4 grams of protein. I hope you enjoyed this easy, cancer-fighting, detoxifying, healthy, plant-based broccoli soup as much as I did. You can find this recipe and all of Ordinary Vegan's recipes at ordinaryvegan.net/recipes. Before I go today, I want to mention the Lila International School in Los Feliz, California. Lila is now offering plant-based cooking classes to the children who attend their school. How awesome is that? In 2014, another school in the Los Angeles area called Muse School became the first all-vegan school in the United States. The school's co-founder is Susie Amos Cameron, wife of vegan, environmentalist, and movie director James Cameron. Congratulations to Muse School and Lila for showing their young students that there are other food options in life besides the standard American diet of animal protein and processed foods. Wouldn't it be great if public schools did the same thing? My dream is for plant-based cooking classes to be taught at all public schools, which would bring plant-based food to the population of people who are suffering the most from food-related diseases. If you work at a public school and interested in plant-based cooking classes for your students, please drop me a line at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. I will see if I can help. Before I go, I would like to thank a young boy named Truman who goes to Lila School and listens to the Ordinary Vegan podcast. I'm told he's taking a plant-based cooking class at Lila so he can make me a vegan birthday cake. Thanks, Truman, and thanks everyone else for listening. If you have any questions for Ordinary Vegan, please drop us a line at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. If you would like to record a message to us, please go to ordinaryvegan.net and hit that black record button on the right-hand side, and we will share your question on an upcoming podcast. If you get a chance, please write a review and rate our podcast in iTunes. The more reviews and ratings we get, the more people we attract to the Ordinary Vegan podcast and the plant-based message. That's it for today's podcast. Until next time.
Thanks for joining our plant-based community today. Together, we can accomplish great things. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of Ordinary Vegan's recipes and plant-based tips. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. Until next time.